Many of us are living as if life were only a rough draft. We wait until things feel better before allowing ourselves to smile. We wait for a better job, a more complete relationship, a clearer future. Yet in Buddhist wisdom, there is a very simple truth. Life does not wait for us to be ready. It is happening right now. Every moment that passes leaves forever, never returning, never repeating. Try to remember the mornings when you rushed out of the house without once looking up at the sky. The laughter of loved ones that you heard but did not truly listen to because your mind was already busy thinking about tomorrow. We often believe that joy lies somewhere ahead, but happiness does not hide in the future. It is present in this very moment. When you learn to live fully with each moment, even something as simple as taking a sip of water, walking a few slow steps, or feeling the breath move in and out, you begin to realize that happiness is not something you need to chase. It is something you can live right now. In the teachings of the Buddha, those who are awake do not wait for someday to feel at peace. They choose to live fully in the present. And when you choose to be here in this moment, each day can become a happy day. Now let us walk together through 12 gentle ways to truly enjoy every minute of life and discover how to be happy. Lesson 1. Happiness does not wait for tomorrow. Many people move through each day carrying a familiar promise in their hearts. When I finish this task, I will rest. When I earn enough money, I will live more lightly. When everything becomes stable, then I will allow myself to be happy. We place our real life into the future and treat the present as a waiting room. Yet in the Buddhist view, tomorrow is not a place where life happens. Tomorrow is only a thought. It has never once touched your breath. The only thing truly here is this moment, the heartbeat that is pulsing right now, the breath that is moving in and out. When the mind runs backward into memory or rushes forward into worry, we are no longer present. Not because life has not begun, but because we have stepped away from it. We live through remembering and anticipating instead of living through presence. You may have experienced a moment like this before. A loved one calling you to talk, a gentle afternoon filled with soft sunlight, a simple invitation to take a walk. And yet you replied, maybe later, after I finish this. And then that moment passed, quietly, without blame. It simply disappeared. When you look back, the regret is not about what you did, but about the fact that you were not there. In the teachings of the Buddha, life is not found in what we are about to achieve. Life is found in what is happening now. If you wait until everything is perfect before you live, you will wait forever. Life is impermanent, and it never pauses to wait for you to feel ready. Happiness does not arrive after everything is completed. Happiness arrives when you are fully present with what is. Now pause for 10 seconds. There is nothing else you need to do. Place one hand on your chest. Feel the warmth of your hand. Feel the steady beat of your heart. Breathe in and know that you are breathing in. Breathe out and know that you are breathing out. Gently say to yourself that you are here. Right now, life is nowhere else. This moment is life itself. Do not lose it. When you stop postponing life until tomorrow, the mind begins to settle. You do not need to change your circumstances. You only need to return. Return to the feeling of your feet touching the ground. Return to the sounds moving around you. Each time you notice that you have wandered and come back to this moment, you are choosing happiness now, right here in the breath that is present. Lesson 2. Gratitude, the gateway to happiness. There are moments when life feels empty, even though nothing is clearly missing. We are still breathing, still walking, still given a new day, yet inside there is a subtle sense of lack. Not because we do not have enough, but because we have grown used to seeing everything through haste. Gratitude is not an emotion that comes and goes. Gratitude is a way of seeing life with awakened eyes. We drink water every day, yet we rarely pause to truly feel it. We breathe thousands of times, yet seldom know that we are breathing. We have a body that quietly carries us through life, yet we only remember it when it aches or becomes tired. It is not that life is poor, but that we have forgotten how to see the fullness already present around us. Once I walked for a long time under the sun. The road seemed endless and my throat was dry. Each step felt heavier than the one before. When I finally stopped, I opened the bottle of water I was carrying and drank. Slowly, sip by sip, the cool water touched my lips, flowed down my throat, and spread through my body. In that moment, I realized something very simple. For years, I had been drinking water without any gratitude. Only when I was thirsty did I understand how precious water truly is. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering arises from ignorance. Ignorance is not a lack of grand knowledge, but a failure to see what is already here. When we forget to look at life through the light of gratitude, we begin to feel lacking, and from that feeling, restlessness is born. Gratitude is like a light being lit within the mind. That light does not remove difficulties, but it allows us to see the path we are walking more clearly. When the light of gratitude is present, ordinary things become profound. A single breath becomes a gift. A step becomes a form of support. A body that still functions becomes a quiet blessing. We realize that we do not lack the conditions for happiness. We lack attention to the things that have been silently sustaining us all along. The practice of gratitude does not need to be beautiful or grand. Each day, one very small thing is enough. It might be a sip of cool water, a peaceful morning, or a deep breath in the middle of a busy day. When you pause and recognize it, the heart begins to soften. The Buddha taught that the one who knows contentment is the richest of all. When gratitude becomes your way of seeing, happiness is no longer far away. It opens in the very moment you realize that you are alive and being supported in every breath. Lesson 3. Simplicity is wealth. One afternoon, after a long day, I walked slowly into a park. There was no clear plan. My feet simply carried me there. The sunlight was leaning towards sunset, and the sky softened into gentle colors. A few children ran across the grass, laughing freely, unaware of time. An elderly man sat on a bench feeding birds with slow and careful movements. In that moment, nothing extraordinary happened, yet my heart became lighter in a quiet and unexpected way. We often think that simplicity means lack, less money, fewer comforts, fewer choices. But in the Buddhist view, simplicity does not live in our circumstances. It lives in the way the mind moves. A life can look simple on the outside while the mind remains tangled. And at times, within very ordinary conditions, the mind can open and rest in ease. True wealth is not found in having more, but in wanting less. When the mind is trained to chase many things, it is never satisfied. Not enough experiences, not enough achievements, not enough recognition. Each day passes in a state of pursuit, leaving us tired without knowing why. The Buddha taught that fewer desires lead to less suffering, not because we abandon life, but because we stop placing heavy demands on every moment. When the mind no longer has to constantly compare and calculate, it begins to rest. Looking back at that afternoon in the park, I realized that nothing made me happy except being fully present. No phone in my hand, no goal to reach, no plan to complete, only feet touching the ground and breath moving with the wind. Children do not need a reason to laugh. They do not think about tomorrow or cling to yesterday. They live in this moment with their whole presence. Simplicity is not about owning less. It is about carrying fewer unnecessary thoughts. It is not about living poorly, but about living lightly. When the mind is no longer pulled by endless desires, we begin to notice very small things. A cool breeze, a bird's call, a quiet space in the middle of the day. These things are always there, but they appear only when the mind is simple enough to see them. The practice of simplicity can begin very gently. Choose one time with no objective. No need to go anywhere special. No need to do anything useful. Set your phone aside for a while. Walk more slowly than usual. Breathe a little deeper. Allow yourself to be unhurried. In that space, you will feel the mind soften. And when the mind softens, You realize that you do not need anything more to feel complete. That is when simplicity becomes wealth, and that wealth begins within. Lesson 4. Do not compare return to yourself. There are moments when you open your phone for just a few minutes, yet when you look up, the mind feels heavier. You have not lost money or time, but you have lost the peace that was there. Comparison often begins this quietly. A single image, a short story, a carefully chosen moment is enough to pull us away from the present. Social media is like a version of life edited to keep only the bright scenes. We look at it and begin to believe that others are living better, more complete, more joyful lives. In that moment, we forget that we are breathing, standing, living. Comparison does not only steal joy, it pulls the mind out of this moment. In the teachings of the Buddha, each person walks a different path. What we are experiencing now is the result of many causes planted before. No one arrives too early or too late on their own journey. Flowers bloom in their own season. The moon shines on its own night. The sun does not need to compare itself to the moon in order to shine. In the same way, your life has its own rhythm and does not need to resemble anyone else's. When we compare, we unknowingly deny the path we are walking. We look outward and overlook the value that already lives within. The Buddha taught that each person carries a different karma. Karma is not a punishment. It is the flow of choices. When we understand this, we stop competing and begin to return. Returning does not mean escaping. It means coming back to the breath. Each time you notice that you are comparing, pause for a moment. Breathe in slowly and know that you are breathing in. Breathe out slowly and know that you are breathing out. That is enough to bring the mind back to where it belongs. In that moment, you do not need to be better than anyone, and you are not less than anyone. You only need to be fully present with the path you are walking. No one can walk it for you, and you do not need to walk for anyone else. When comparison stops, the mind becomes lighter and life becomes more real. You slow down and feel each step touching the ground. From there, you understand that no one can walk your path in your place. When you return to the present, happiness is no longer something to measure. It appears quietly in the fullness of your own presence. And from that place, peace begins to grow. Without haste, without comparison, without leaving yourself behind. Just staying and continuing on with awareness. That is enough for one day. Lesson 5. Every small step deserves to be celebrated in life. Many people allow themselves to feel joy only when they reach a major milestone, when success is obvious, when results are complete, when they stand on some visible peak. Before that, all effort is considered not enough. We walk forward each day, yet the mind is always looking far ahead. This is what makes the path heavier than it needs to be. In the teachings of the Buddha, practice is not a sudden leap. It is a journey made of small steps, one after another. No step is meaningless. No day is wasted when we are truly present. Yet the human mind is often used to self-blame. We accomplish 9 parts and focus only on the one that remains unfinished. We move forward, yet scold ourselves for not having arrived. Healing begins when we stop punishing ourselves with impossible expectations, when we learn to recognize effort instead of looking only at results. Each morning you wake up and continue living is a step forward. Each time you choose not to give up is a step forward. Each time you notice that you are tired and allow yourself to rest is also a very quiet step forward. There was a period when I was trying to build a new habit. At first I looked at others and felt slow. I compared numbers, days, and outcomes. Each night I went to bed feeling not good enough. Until I changed the way I looked. I began to acknowledge very small things. Today I tried. Today I did not quit. Today I was more patient than yesterday. In Buddhism, there is no idea of progress through force. There is only growth through awareness. When we see each step, the mind becomes less tense. We do not need to run. We only need to keep going. And each step deserves to be met with gentleness. The practice for this lesson is very simple. Each evening before sleep, write down one thing you did well that day. It does not need to be big. It does not need to be beautiful. It might be that you took one deeper breath, that you did not react so quickly, that you cared for yourself a little more. When you do this consistently, the mind learns to trust the process. When you stop waiting for great victories, happiness begins to appear along the way. Each small step that is celebrated is a return to the life that is quietly continuing. No need to be perfect, no need to be fast. Just continue, and when you look back, you will see that you have traveled very far, carried by those small steps you once took. Lesson 6. Slowing down in the most ordinary things. Our days are woven from very familiar actions. Brewing a pot of tea, drinking a glass of water, sweeping the room, walking a few steps around the house. Because these actions are so familiar, we often do them quickly. The hands are busy, but the mind is somewhere else. We treat them as tasks to finish so we can move on to something more important. And in doing so, we unknowingly miss many moments that are quietly nourishing us. In Buddhism, mindfulness does not appear only when we sit still or stay in a temple. Mindfulness lives in everyday life. It arises when we are truly present with what we are doing. When brewing tea, we know that we are brewing tea. When drinking water, we know that we are drinking water. When sweeping the floor, we are aware of each movement of the hands and the breath. In this way, ordinary life becomes a ritual. A ritual does not need to be solemn or complicated. A ritual is simply doing one thing with wholeness. One morning, I did not rush as I usually did. I heated the water more slowly. I listened to the sound of it coming to a boil. I felt the warmth spreading from the teapot. When I held the cup in my hands, I paused for a few seconds. I did not think of anything else. I simply drank and knew that I was drinking. That moment was very brief, yet my mind felt calmer than after a long period of sitting. When we turn daily actions into rituals, we stop rushing through life. We begin to stay with each minute as it passes. A glass of water is no longer just for quenching thirst. It becomes a reminder that we are alive. A broom is no longer only for cleaning the floor. It gathers the scattered mind back together. These small actions, when done with mindfulness, become places of refuge in a busy world. The Buddha did not teach people to leave ordinary life behind. He taught them to awaken within it. When the mind is no longer pulled in many directions by endless thoughts, every action becomes lighter. We do not need more time to practice. We only need to be less absent from what we are doing. The practice for this lesson is very simple. Each day, choose one familiar action and do it slowly. It may be brewing tea, it may be drinking water, it may be sweeping the floor or washing dishes. During that time, do not hold your phone. Do not do anything else. Do only one thing and know clearly that you are doing it. When you practice this way, you will notice a difference. The mind becomes less tense. The body becomes less tired. You do not need to search for peace anywhere else. It is already present in the actions you perform every day. When ordinary life becomes a ritual, life is no longer a list of tasks to complete. It becomes a gentle flow that you can enter with your whole presence. Lesson 7. Not perfect, but true. There is a quiet beauty in things that are not whole. We are often taught to fix ourselves, to smooth out the cracks, and to present a perfect version of who we are to the world. We are afraid of making mistakes, afraid of lacking, afraid of being seen as not enough. Yet the more we try to be perfect, the more exhausted we become. The more we hide, the farther we drift from ourselves. On the path of healing, there is an important moment when we stop and acknowledge that we are real human beings with real limits. In the Japanese art of kintsugi, broken bowls are not thrown away. They are repaired with gold. The cracks are not hidden, but highlighted. The very places that were once damaged become the most precious parts. When we look at them, we do not see something broken. We see a story, a journey that has passed through loss and continues to exist. In the teachings of the Buddha, there is no idea of a perfect self. All things are impermanent and without a fixed identity. We change each day, each hour, each breath. Trying to hold on to a flawless image of ourselves only creates suffering. When we cling to the idea that we must be a certain way, we add unnecessary weight to our lives. Letting go of the need for perfection is letting go of suffering. Many people do not allow themselves to live truthfully because they fear judgment. We are afraid that others will see our vulnerability. We are afraid that we are not good enough to be loved. Yet in reality, people do not connect with perfection. People connect with truth. When someone dares to show their cracks, they create a safe space for others to be themselves as well. Once, I made a mistake in front of many people. I felt deeply embarrassed and wanted to disappear. But when I paused and admitted that I was wrong, something unexpected happened. There was no judgment as I had imagined. Instead, there were looks of understanding. In that moment, I realized that truth opens connection, while perfection only creates distance. The practice of this lesson is not complicated. Each day, allow yourself to be enough. Enough tired to rest, enough sad to feel, enough clumsy to learn. When you stop forcing yourself to become someone else, the mind begins to lighten. You do not need to fix yourself right away. You only need to stay with what is present. In Buddhism, impermanence is not something to fear. It is a reminder that nothing needs to be perfect forever. Each moment is a becoming. When you allow yourself to be enough in this moment, you step into life with gentleness. And from that place of truth, peace begins to spread little by little. Lesson 8. Presence is a gift. There are moments that seem very ordinary, yet appear only once in a lifetime. A family meal at the end of the day. Everyone sitting around the table while the food is still warm. Familiar voices filling the space. Soft light resting on beloved faces. Yet it is very easy to be present without truly being there. The body sits at the table, but the mind drifts onto a screen. The eyes look at a phone while the real conversation unfolds right in front of us. In Buddhism, there is a very simple reminder. Where the mind is, their life is. When the mind leaves this moment, we lose the life that is happening. We eat without knowing that we are eating. We hear without truly listening. And precious moments quietly pass without leaving a trace in our memory. One evening, after many busy days, I sat with my family. Everyone was laughing and sharing small stories from the day. I glanced at a few messages, thinking I was still listening. When I finally looked up, I realized I had missed a rare story. A loved one's eyes were bright as they spoke, but I had not been there. The feeling of regret came quickly, not because of something big, but because I had missed the moment I was living. Presence is a gift we offer to others, and also a gift we offer to ourselves. When we are truly present, we allow relationships to be nourished. A full glance, a timely nod, a quiet space to listen. These things take no extra time, yet they create deep connection. The Buddha taught that when the mind is scattered, people suffer even in comfortable conditions. And when the mind is settled, people can feel at ease even in very simple lives. It is not the meal itself that creates happiness, but the presence within the meal. The practice for this lesson is very concrete. Choose one meal in your day and place all screens aside. No phone, no television, no scrolling while eating. Simply eat and know that you are eating. Simply look and know that you are looking. If someone is sitting across from you, listen fully to every word. At first, the mind may feel empty because it is used to constant stimulation. But after a few minutes, you will notice a gentle warmth. Sounds become clearer. Flavors become deeper. Presence becomes the thread that connects you with the people sitting at the table with you. Lesson 9. Lighten the heart with laughter. Life does not always follow the plans we hope for. There are days when everything flows smoothly, and there are moments when everything seems to fall out of place at once. In such moments, we often react quickly with irritation. We complain. We blame the situation. We allow the mind to grow heavier through our own reactions. I remember once at the airport, after many hours of waiting, my flight was delayed and then canceled. My luggage was lost. All plans changed completely. Around me were tired and frustrated faces. I felt tense too, on the verge of breaking, but right beside me was a man in the same situation. Instead of becoming angry, he smiled and spoke gently with the ticket counter staff. He even joked about having extra time to sit and rest in the middle of a busy life. His laughter did not make the plane arrive any sooner, but it softened the atmosphere. People in line began to smile. The airport staff relaxed, and so did I. In that moment, I realized that what was changing was not the situation, but the attitude. The circumstances were the same, yet the mind was different. In Buddhism, suffering or ease does not arise only from what happens, but from how we receive what happens. When the mind resists reality, suffering is born. When the mind softens and accepts, suffering lightens. Laughter is not a denial of difficulty. Laughter is an opening toward what is not as we wish. It allows us to exhale instead of tightening. We often think that we must solve the problem first before we are allowed to laugh. Yet many times, laughter itself creates the space needed to see the problem more clearly. When we laugh at our own clumsiness or at unexpected situations, we are no longer dragged along by them. We are able to stay with ourselves. Laughter is also a form of compassion toward oneself. Instead of blaming ourselves, we choose lightness. Instead of tormenting ourselves, we let go a little. In that moment, we may not make life more perfect, but we make the mind easier to breathe. And when the mind can breathe, we gain the energy to continue. The practice for this lesson is very simple. When something does not go your way, try to smile. It does not need to be big. Just a gentle smile is enough to remind the mind that there is still room to choose. Smile at delays. Smile at mistakes. Smile at things that do not follow your expectations. Not to accept everything forever, but to stop adding more suffering to yourself. When you allow laughter to appear in the middle of difficulty, you will notice the difference. The situation may still be there, but you are no longer submerged. Laughter opens a soft way out. It reminds you that you do not need to fight life. You only need to stay with life with a lighter heart. And from there, peace has a chance to return in each very human moment. Lesson 10. Give to feel light again. There are days when the mind feels heavy without a clear reason. Work is not too bad. Life is not especially lacking. Yet inside there is a tightness that is hard to name. In moments like these, we often think that we need something more. More recognition, more attention, more joy for ourselves. But in the teachings of Buddhism, there is a very different direction. When the mind feels heavy, try giving. I remember one afternoon on my way home. The sunlight was gentle. I saw an elderly person standing by the roadside with several heavy bags. Their steps were slow, their back slightly bent. I hesitated for a few seconds, then stopped and offered to help. I carried the bags and walked with them for a short distance. Along the way, they shared a few simple stories from the past. When we arrived, they held my hand and thanked me with a gentle smile. Nothing remarkable happened. Yet as I walked away, I realized that my heart felt much lighter. What surprised me was not their happiness, but the change within myself. The worries I had been carrying seemed to step back, not because they disappeared, but because my mind no longer clung to them so tightly. In the moment of giving, I stepped out of a narrow sense of self and touched a wider space. In Buddhism, compassion is not something distant or abstract. Compassion is the ability to see and respond to another person's need with an open heart. The Buddha taught that compassion is the shortest path out of suffering. When we try to hold happiness only for ourselves, it becomes fragile and easily lost. When we share it, it has a chance to grow. Giving does not need to be grand. It does not require sacrifice or going beyond your limits. Sometimes it is simply listening until someone finishes their story. Sometimes it is letting someone pass. Sometimes it is a gentle word when another person is tense. These small actions do not make us poorer. They make us more spacious. Many people fear that if they give too much, they will be depleted. But what drains us is not giving. It is tightening. When we close our hearts out of fear of loss, we imprison ourselves in a sense of lack. When we open the heart even a little, we step out of that cycle. Compassion does not take energy away. It allows energy to flow. The practice for this lesson is very simple. Each day, choose one small act of kindness. No one needs to know. No recognition is needed. Simply do it with sincerity. It might be helping a stranger. It might be sending a message to check on someone you have not spoken to in a long time. It might be treating yourself with more gentleness. The Buddha taught that happiness cannot be kept only for oneself. When you give, you do not lose happiness. You allow it to live. And when happiness is allowed to live, it returns in a very light form. Light like a smile, light like a step, light like the feeling of being connected to the life flowing all around you. We have just walked through a very simple journey, not to change life in some grand way, but to return to the life that is already unfolding. Each lesson has gently reminded you to stay with what is present. When you live each minute fully, you begin to understand the meaning of enjoy every minute. Not enjoyment through stimulation, but through presence. When you choose to be here, you are choosing to be happy now, right in this very breath. Happiness does not need to wait for the right conditions. It does not live in tomorrow, and it does not wait for everything to become perfect. Happiness arises when we stop running and return. Return to the body sitting here. Return to the mind that is feeling. Return to the life that is flowing, real and alive. If you have stayed until this moment, you have chosen awareness. If these words touch something inside you, you can press like and subscribe as a quiet promise to return again. You may leave a simple line. I choose to live now. May you be slow enough to see, calm enough to live, and happy right here, right now.